Well, I'm in an economical prison. What happened to me, I don't know if you know, because we haven't been in touch for the last year. Well, we have the last 6 months, but I was falsely accused by the actress Sienna Miller in a civil trial led by the quite famous barrister David Sherborne. They accused the son, Rebecca Brooks, of using me to ring up Sienna Miller's GP to find out she's pregnant. Now, this was done by a totally different private investigator called Lloyd from TDI. They knew about it, Hacked Off knew about it, and yet Rebecca Brooks apparently said, "Oh, don't worry, Lloyd. He's a black guy. He's to a certain extent protected species right now." And I was accused, and Sienna Miller came out of court, ripped into me, and said she had an abortion because of me. And because I'm working class poor, I just had to suck on that. I mean, it really makes my blood boil that.
Well, I know that. I know the story, of course, and I know you quite well as well from X News
Yeah.
of the World and everything there. And we know what some of the newspapers got up to, but we also know what some of the newspapers didn't get up to. Remember that I defended Ian Strachan in the Royal Blackmail trial, and what a lot of stuff came out of that. Where News of the World was egging my client on, to put intrusive devices in the palace and other places there. We had to strike a deal with the judge to make sure he only got like a small amount of time. And I gave an undertaking that I would not release the material that I had that was part of the trial, the telephone intercepts, the video recordings of members of the royal family. So there's a lot of royal secrets that I'm guarding simply because I gave an undertaking. But hey, wait for this. My undertaking was valid as long as my client was alive. He supposedly jumped out of a window and broke his leg and broke his neck and died. Now, is my undertaking still valid? Or can I, as I'm planning to do a 6-part series called Royal Blackmail, which you can look at www.royalblackmail.com. You can look at the template of that there. Shall I do that? Shall we cause? But it's not causing the royal family any issues. It is just simply providing the public the material that was available in court. For example, and I know that you probably were aware of this, but had no part to play in this. I know that News of the World took a DNA sample of Prince Harry and Prince Charles as he then was there. And those DNA samples were sent for testing. And, lo and behold, I'm not going to tell you what the results were because that would spoil, it would spoil the docu-fiction that we have.
Yeah, I know that Greg Miskiw told me that they'd done that, actually, that they'd done the DNA stealing. Somebody had taken some of his hair. They've recently made a fool of Prince Harry, the Sunday Mirror. Now, I inadvertently brought in the phone hacker to the News of the World. He was an ex-boyfriend of mine called John Boyle. He brought in the phone hacking. He was too expensive, so they nicked his little office boy, Glenn Mulcair. Glenn Mulcair didn't know what he was doing, so he got them all.
Yeah.
Well, he got them all arrested, but Boyle wouldn't have done that. He's a multi-millionaire. Nobody mentions his name because he's too moneyed up, too well connected with the cops. They're too scared of him. This is what our media are like. They're cowardly bully boys. But so I introduced him to Greg Miskiw. They went out to dinner. Hacking was brought in. John hacked me, found out I was working for the Sunday Mirror, and went to them. Tina Weaver, who's Phil Hall's ex-lover. Phil was running the News of the World. Tina Weaver was running the Sunday Mirror. John went in there. And all the time now, they fought him in court and they said, oh, we weren't phone hacking. Well, mates, yes, you were, because Boyle went for the 2 newspapers at the same time. So Prince Harry 100% would have been hacked, but they're denying it. I mean, they're in court. Nobody mentioned John Boyle because the people informing David Sherborne, they dance to their own tune. They protect certain people. They attack other people. And it's just, the public think that things are being revealed, but they're not being revealed. You just get little scapegoats. I'm a little scapegoat because I'm working class, not lawyered up, not well married. So I know we'll just say it was Christine Hart. I mean, totally pisses me off. Sorry.
That's an ill-founded allegation. I know you, Chrissy, you know, and I know that I know about the Sienna Miller. I mean, didn't need you to reveal anything about her because she's pretty damn good herself in doing that, and her ex-husband as well. There's always been that sort of war between them, that leaking of information. We have a situation here in Italy, a very famous football player, Totti, Francesco Totti, and Ilaria Blasi, a beautiful blonde, that had a wonderful marriage and everything was going good. And then, but as I tell most of my clients there, and I've done some matrimonial causes at work before, and I hate it, incidentally, I loathe doing that. The wedding gift of a simple pencil that you receive when you get married, 20 years later when it comes to divorce, will be the actual war battle. It will be the war ground to fight. You'll spend thousands of pounds of lawyers' fees on who has possession of that stupid little thing that you get that. And we have a similar situation here in Italy. There's 3 Rolex watches. They're not worried about the children, the 2 children they have. You know, they can, that don't matter because they're just children. But they're worried about who has possession and control of the Rolex watches. So the judge has had to rule 6 months one and 6 months. I mean, absolute bloody madness, you know. And I actually blame, you know, the church for this there, because at the end of the day, the government have allowed relationships to end on a whim. You can get a divorce now on the internet within 7 days, costing you 90 quid. I mean, are we for real? Something that, you know, a wedding, matrimony is a contract, a binding contract, which you sign. You know, should it be broken? Should it be rescinded? Should it be invalidated over some stupidityness there? And should it be done so quickly without a period of reflection? You don't even have to wait that long in the UK. In Italy, completely different. Takes 3 years before you get a divorce.
Exactly. I just want to take you to, because you've only got an hour, and I just before Brian, he wanted to ask you again about advice on communication skills. I just want to nip in with Archon. How did you get involved with him? I just find him a fascinating character. And what was he like?
Well, Arkan was a great man. As I said just recently, the reason he was murdered was nothing to do with organized crime. It was a state-sponsored murder. It doesn't matter which state it was there, because had he have lived, he would have become president of Serbia, and I would have been his foreign minister. We had a party called Stranka Srpska Jedinstva, the Serbian Unity Party, and he was a member of parliament. He had some seats in parliament in the what was then the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia's parliament. Had he have lived and not been murdered, he would have become president of Serbia. And his ideology was, he had 2 uncles, one that lived in Moscow and one that lived in Los Angeles. Every year, the one from Russia would say to his parents, can you please send me this, that? Can you send me some cheese? Can you send me some food? Can you send me money? The one from America would be sending parcels 2-3 times a year and money. And so Željko said to me, Arkan, who the hell do you think that we're going to go with? We're going to go with the Russians, the communists, or we're going to go with the West that have got money? He was very much pro-Western. It was part of our ideology to be under a NATO umbrella, which would have been a protective measure, and they couldn't have attacked Belgrade. What they've done to Belgrade is absolutely criminal. There, it is a total criminal act to attack a country and its citizens. I was lucky that I was in Brussels at the time as one of the commissioners on behalf of His Excellency President Milosevic. So I was there for 3 months. But with the moment they started attacking the country, I went back to Belgrade there, and I stood my ground in a building called Genix, which was all glass. And I knew that they had plans to blow that up. But as long as there was a European Union citizen, me there, they couldn't do it. The next thing I did was I invited the Chinese ambassador to come and live in that building there. They were screwed then because they'd already by mistake hit the Chinese embassy, and that nearly caused a nuclear war. Let me tell you, not many people know that. And the reason that they hit the Chinese embassy, would you believe it, how bloody stupid these perpendicular ponces were. They had the wrong maps of the city that were before the new buildings were built there. They hadn't taken into account that there were new buildings. So when they struck with a missile, they thought it was like ordinary ground. Instead, it was the Chinese embassy. And that caused a massive problem. But that just goes to show the ideology. And Jelko would have become a fantastic president. He was pro-West. We would have been in Europe by then. But the destruction of a state, by the United States and the United Kingdom, and to a certain extent, my country, for allowing the bases to be used, which is something that is unforgivable. I had a massive row with Berlusconi, my friend, over this here. We nearly fell out over that there. And he said to me, well, we have no choice. We have agreements with NATO. We have agreements. I said, fuck NATO and the agreements there. You're killing people. We are allowing our country to be used to kill people and attack people that have got nothing to do with anything, because you're not attacking the army, you're attacking the population. We made up again afterwards, but it wasn't something that I was particularly proud of. And I said publicly that you had three bastards in power that have caused that on Belgrade and other B. Berlusconi, Blair, and Bush. They're the three people that really, not so much Berlusconi because he allowed our bases. Other countries didn't. Austria wouldn't allow their airspace to be infiltrated. So why we did that? Now, unfortunately, we never really raised this again with Silvio. I mean, I met him a few times. I didn't want to get into that heated argument because I could see that he was sad at the decision that he took at the time there. But, who knows what anyone would do at any one certain time there. But they destroyed a country. And the moral of the story, that it's now booming. Now it's booming without any assistance, without even a by your leave or I'm sorry we did that, which is another stupid thing from the West. Instead of bringing, because the Balkans are vital, strategically vital, for, the trade routes and everything. But it is what it is. As Steptoe said, I got the law of contract on my side, and Albert said I got the knobs on mine.
Over to Brian for a second. Brian, do you want to speak about the communication skills and how?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that really amazed. Hi, Giovanni. The one thing that really amazes me is obviously you went to prison for a long time, and I know a little bit more about prison than I should, because to quote one of your Italian philosophers, Machiavelli, intelligent people have dangerous friends. So essentially, I know how prison works. And I would have thought a high-profile prisoner like yourself would have a target on his back, through what I understand how prison works. And I just wondered how you managed to get round that and, sort of like have fairly peaceful existence within such a hostile environment. Because I know it wouldn't have been easy. Sorry.
The people that could cause me harm are the people that needed me. So therefore, there was never any problems whatsoever. And at the end of the day, I've acted for Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, the PLO, the IRA, the UDF, ETA, PCC. I mean, I've acted for most of the terrorist groups, as a lawyer. That I don't give advice on political things. I just deal with the problems and issues of law. I have no interest whatsoever in their political dogma. All I remember saying, for example, with the IRA at Portlaoise Prison, was that if they wanted to have a political party that actually counted, and that they have to stop killing people, because if you kill a person, you got one vote less.